Hello and welcome to Tour Obscure, and today we are in Sutton Scarsdale, which is in Derbyshire, and behind me you'll be able to see the ruins of Sutton Scarsdale Hall. Now this place is absolutely steeped in history. It dates all the way back to the 11th century, and over time it was left to decay and eventually asset stripped, and parts of this building were shipped off to America, parts are in a museum in Philadelphia now, and it also plays a big part in Hollywood. So join me and I'll explain all about this place. Sutton Scarsdale Hall was originally built during the 11th century, and over the years, various versions of the hall stood on this site, until 1724, when the building we see today was constructed. But by 1919, the building had fallen into the hands of local businessmen, who saw no future for the hall, and asset stripped the whole building, leaving it roofless and open to the elements for many years, leading to the quick decay of this once grand building. There were plans in the 1940s to strip the building for its exterior stonework, but luckily the structure was saved and ultimately ended up in the hands of English Heritage, who have preserved the building, making sure that it still stands to this day. So this is the main front of Sutton Scarsdale Hall, and you can see just how grand this place is. Obviously these days it's lacking its windows and you can see quite clearly but its ruins, but even in this state it still looks very impressive. Now if you look at this side of the building, it may be familiar to some of you, and that's because Sutton Scarsdale Hall was the inspiration for Wayne Manor in the Batman vs Superman films. Now I'm not a fan of these films, but I know Wayne Manor was portrayed to be abandoned in this film. And if you look at this picture now taken from the film, you can see the striking resemblance. And this building was the inspiration for Wayne Manor in that film. So it's definitely got its close ties to Hollywood, this place. So the structure we see today is not the original. In fact, this is the fourth or fifth structure what's been built on this site. The original was in the 11th century, and it was built by a man named Wulfric Spot. A very strange name, but he's the guy who built the original house on this site. Now let's talk a bit about the building we see today. It was commissioned in 1724 by the owner at the time, who was Nicholas Leake. Like? I'm not really sure. You decide how that one's pronounced. But he commissioned this place to be rebuilt using parts of the existing structure. So there's parts of this building what are actually older than 1724. Maybe we'll see some of them parts when we go inside, I'm not sure. But it was under the design plans of a guy called Francis Smith. And if I'm honest, I think this is one of them places what the camera's just not going to do justice. It really has got that wow factor when you first arrive. When we pulled up in the car, that certainly was my reaction. That's probably just because I've wanted to come here for so long, but it certainly is very, very impressive. And even though it's in ruins, it's still very, very impressive. Now for many years this place was fenced off, I believe. due to being structurally unstable, I'm guessing. But English Heritage have done some work on it and it's now open. So we can actually go inside and have a look at what remains of this grand old place, and hopefully we'll be able to see some of the remains of the fantastic interior, what this place was renowned for. So we're going to walk in to the structure now, and you can see what kind of state it's in. It is literally just a shell, but this once would have been a grand old entrance. This probably would have been a little courtyard. This is the rear of the property. And you can see just there where English Heritage have patched this place up to make it safe. Some new brickwork there, trying to keep with what would have originally been there, I would imagine. And just here looks like we've got some stairs that lead down somewhere, and I reckon we might be able to get a glimpse if we pop round the other side. I'm hoping anyway. And you can see just there the stairs disappear down into a dark tunnel, and what I would give to go down there and explore. But unfortunately it's all sealed off, more than likely for good reason. So the interior of this place would have once looked a bit like this. Grand oak panelling. And you can see from this photo just how elaborate it was. But obviously today, due to the asset stripping, which we're going to talk about in a minute, it looks like this. And you can see just here, that is a fireplace on the bottom floor. And because of the state of the building, you can follow the chimney all the way up and see where there would have been fireplaces on the other two floors. And I believe another fireplace just there. Obviously, chimney's missing now. No central heating back in them days. So 1824 was a significant year for this place. That's when it fell into the hands of the Arkwright family. It was bought by Richard Arkwright, and it passed down through a few generations, and it eventually ended up in the hands of William Arkwright. And it was him who put the place up for auction. Now, it was bought by a group of businessmen, but they didn't really have good intentions for this place because they asset stripped the whole building right down to the roof, and that's probably what led to the really bad decay of this building, obviously with the rainwater being allowed to just freely get in. And you can see just up there there's some timber what's still stuck to the walls, and I'm just wondering if that's the remains of some of the oak panelling. Obviously the bits of what were holding it all together and holding it to the walls, maybe. And you can see just there there's a hole in the wall, and it seems to have got some sort of metal structure inside. And I can't work out what that is. I believe there's another hole on the other side. Yeah, so it's a small archway, steel or iron supports on the inside, like bracing. So I'm not sure what purpose that once had, but whatever mechanism's inside there, it's certainly interesting. Now, when this place was asset stripped, all the grand old features were ripped out and put up for auction. Now, some of the oak panelling was sold to a member of the Hearst family, and it was meant to be used on a castle in Spain, I believe. But unfortunately that never happened. It sat in storage for a number of years until it was bought in the 1950s by Pall Mall Studios, which was a film studio. And the oak panelling from this place was actually used in various film sets on Hollywood movies in the 1950s. Which films, I'm not sure. I'm sure it'd be pretty difficult to go back and trace them. But another Hollywood connection right there. And another set of panelling from this place somehow ended up in Philadelphia. It was sold to someone in America at some point, and the oak panelling ended up in the Philadelphia Museum of Art, which is still there to this day, I believe. I'll show you these pictures now. So parts of this place have ended up all over the place. But it's nice it's still been retained, but obviously it's miles and miles away. Let's come through here now into what would have been a little private garden, I'd imagine, in the shadow of the church, what sits next door. Imagine this would have been lovely. Completely private. And that would have been one of the main entrances, I'd assume, to the building. I'd imagine there was huge oak doors maybe on there. You can just imagine it now, can't you? And if you look at some of these photos, what show the interior of this building, you'll see just how grand it was and how far this place is from what it once was. So in 1946, Sir Oswald Sitwell bought this place, and he was a good guy. He was a good guy because he bought this place with one intention, and that was to preserve what was left of it. And in 1951, it was designated listed status, and today it belongs to English Heritage, and they've done the great work to make the structure as safe as can be, and they've actually opened it up to the public, which allows us to walk inside today, which is fantastic. I'll be honest, I'm really struggling today filming this. So many mistakes. I'm at back of a night shift, so I finished work at 6 o'clock this morning, and yeah, this is my day. So if I make any mistakes, that's why. I've not slept in about 20 hours. So we keep moving though, we keep moving. And I think this is probably the most interesting part I found. Look at that. That's tile. You can see how decorative that was. They look like flowers, potentially sunflowers. But whatever this room was definitely decorated very nicely. You can see some more tiles down there. They would have been white, I'm assuming. And then just next to the tiles we've seen, we've got some more just on the floor there, and you can see some what would have been around the skirting board area. But that wall shoots off at a curve, so I'm not sure what this would have been, to be fair. So we've just reached a section now which is fenced off from the public, and there's very good reason for that. If you take a look at Now this photo here, that's in 1919 before it was asset stripped. And that room is here. And if you look on the walls there, you'll see the remains of the lavish interior. There's still part of it there. You can see just how grand this once was. That's very sad indeed. And again there, just a better look at what's left. And if you think that's impressive, then just imagine what it looked like back in 1919 when it was fully intact. But unfortunately it was left to rot. Now you'll have seen in the last few videos we've been appealing on behalf of a very good friend of the channel, Glyn, whose challenge was to cycle the full length of the United Kingdom, unaided, on his own, in support of a fantastic cause. He's nearly at £1,000. Now unfortunately, Glyn had to abandon his ride just at the border of Scotland because of a serious knee injury. But don't worry, he's getting himself recovered and he's going to do it all again. He's fighting on. But thank you to the people who have donated, and as promised, thank you to Lauren Rianne and Henderson the Airedale for your donations. So it's very much appreciated. You've contributed to Glyn's challenge and supported him in raising money for a great cause. So thank you very much. If you wish to donate to Glyn's challenge, links in the description below. You do get a shout out on the next video as promised. So thank you very much if you do donate. And then just round the back of the house we've got some ruins what look a lot older than the rest of the structure. So I'm just wondering if these are potentially parts of the original structure, what date from before 1724. As we said earlier, when it was commissioned to be built, it was a brand new design but was to utilise parts of the existing structure. So these are potentially remains of that structure. So that is it from Sutton Scarsdale Hall. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and the subscribe button, it helps massively. If you're feeling extra generous, you could press the super thanks button. That will get you a shout out on the next video as well. So thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. And until next time, see you later.